Nothing wrong because it doesn't exist. Let you be very clear, it doesn't exist. When you are very clear it doesn't exist, any time when it is taken away you won't bother. Even if you bother, it's okay, what is there? Even the bothering doesn't exist. The idea of bothering is nothing but one more connection. The bothering which came to you 9 years ago, the bothering which came to you 10 years ago, the bothering which came to you 8 years ago, and the bothering which is happening in you now, they are not connected. Why are you again connecting and seeing all of them and thinking that I am continuously bothered about money, or I am continuously bothered about developing myself, or I am continuously bothered about my happiness? See, all these things, just more and more and more words. Even your problems are not related to the deeper level. Even they are very superficial. Just with words you are struggling. The whole thing is nothing but words. It's like your whole inner space is filled with words and you are struggling for air. You are struggling even to breathe. Because your whole inner space is filled with words. And constantly you are binding. Every inch of your being is tied with a chain. If there is a small gap, you purchase one more chain and tie it. And you don't feel comfortable even with a small gap. And you say, no, let me have one more chain, please come on, let me have one more chain. And you tie it. Only when you are completely tight, you can't move this side or that side, or you can't even breathe, then you feel comfortable. Yes, now I have enough problem, let me go to some enlightened master. And you come to me to increase my business. What can I do? I always encourage people to get married so that I will have my business. See, unless you have constant problem, you won't come to me. I lose my business. So, can enlightenment solve some of the existing unsolved problems in science and mathematics? For example, nobody knows if there are infinitely many perfect numbers. This is a nice but a very serious question. Who is Satya? Very serious question. You see, first sutra of the Isavasya Upanishad answers this question. If you heard Isavasya Upanishad, you will understand the first mantra, Om Purnamada Purnamidam Purnat Purnamudachyate Purnasya Purnamadaya Purnamevavasishyate. When the whole is taken away from the whole remains as the whole. The first mantra of the first Upanishad, the Shanti mantra of the first Upanishad, gives answer to this question. I think I'll answer this question in a detailed way. Now I'll give you just the gist and you can remind me, I'll give you a complete answer. You see, three things. Logically, according to Max, according to the normal mathematics, 2 plus 2 is 4. A plus B is C. The C cannot be more than A plus B if the A plus B is equal to C. The C cannot be more than A plus B. This is the normal mathematics. When it comes to art, when it comes to the level of art, you see, in the intellectual level, A plus B is equal to C. The A separately, B separately, if you add, nothing less than C or nothing more than C can come. This is the logic, intellectual. When you come to the next level, emotional, level of the art, all the things which is used in a painting, a canvas or the color, all these things put together cannot equate the painting. There is something more in that painting. Can you say that this paint and this canvas and this much of hours from that man is equal to the painting? You can't. Even if you put that hours, 8 hours from that particular artist, same artist, if he puts the 8 hours in a different time, the painting will be different. You can't say, you can't create an equation when it comes to art. Over. You can't put all the words used by Rabindranath Tagore is equal to Gitanjali. There are so many idiots who are using the same words. They are not able to produce Gitanjali. It means what? There is something more than logic exists in the level of art. In the level of art. And there is a third logic equivalent to being. In the logic of being. In that logic, the first logic, 2 plus 2 is 4. The second logic, 2 plus 2 is 4 plus something. When the canvas is separate, it is just canvas. When the paint is separate, it is just paint. When you add these two, you can't equate it to paint. You can't equate it to painting. Painting is canvas plus paint plus something. It means what? 2 plus 2 is 4 plus something. This is a logic of art, logic of emotion. There is a third logic, spiritual logic, the logic of being. In that 2 plus 2 is infinity. There is no 2 plus something. 2 plus 2 is infinity. When you add energy into energy, you can't say energy is 2 energy. You can't. There is something far more. And you can, one more thing, if you add master and disciple, 2 enlightened beings are appearing. How can it be? One enlightened being master plus a disciple equivalent 2 enlightened beings. How can it be? So infinity is expressing itself in the same way of infinity. You can't say that same logic applies. I'll give you how the third logic, the logic of the energy or the spiritual logic is described clearly in this mantra. The Purnamada Purnamidam Purnat Purnamudachyate Purnasya Purnamadaya Purnamevavasishyate. When the whole is removed from the whole remains as the whole. These are beautifully especially Shankara comments. Shankara's logic is so sharp when he comments on that sutra, and after reading that sutra you don't need anything else. Any logic, any science, any mathematics you can shake if you know this single sutra. You can shake all mathematicians. You can shake the whole logic. And he gives a beautiful commentary. It takes long time if I have to repeat the whole commentary and explain. Just understand this one concept. This art itself is enough to break the logic. Now 2 plus 2 is something, 4 plus something. You can't equate it. What is that? Your emotion or your being. You can name whatever it is. Same way you can equate the third logic also. The third logic, something more than what you can imagine happens. Something more than what you can imagine happens. You can't equate. Your logic stops working at particular level. The big problem is, in the West, they never looked beyond the logic. Science is the most superstitious thing on the planet Earth. They have too narrow views. The fellows are fanatical. Because, you see, the other day, one doctor came and he was discussing with me. And he was talking as if the spirituality is having lot of superstitions. I told him, let you be very clear, science is having lot more superstitious things than spirituality. At least the rishis don't have vested interests. If you are convinced about what I am saying, I have nothing to gain. I already got your money. I have nothing to gain. Whether you realize or not, it is no way directly related to me. Even if you don't attend my program, whatever I am speaking is there in my website. You can completely download all our books, all my meditation techniques are available in the website, including the meditation is for your book. Even if you don't come here, directly you can download. I have nothing to gain by convincing you. Not only me, all the rishis. They have nothing to gain by convincing you. They have no vested interest. They are not associated with Vaishyas, people who are doing business. But today science is directly associated with Vaishyas who are doing business. They have to fulfill the vested interests of Vaishyas and Kshatriyas. In India, the Brahmanas, the intellectual energy is never under the control of politicians and business people. They are independent energy. The R&D is not under the control of the social vested interests or the political system. But in the other fields, other society, the R&D, the intellectual department is under the influence, under the control. They have to dance to the tunes of vested interests of society. That is why I say science is more superstitious than spirituality. There are a lot more. If you look into the science, you will understand. It is lot more superstitious because it has to serve the vested interests of the people who are funding. In India, knowledge is free. We have liberated. Even today, anybody wants to study Vedanta or the Indian philosophy, you are given free food, stay and education in thousands of monasteries. Only in 5 cities of India, in Himalayas, 100,000 ashrams are there, where spiritual knowledge is given free of cost. Spiritual knowledge is given free of cost. This R&D is constantly going on, independent of Vaishyas and Kshatriyas, means politicians and business people. Politicians and business people are no way able to influence. They can't influence this R&D of spirituality. It is independent. But with science, they are the people who dictate. Be very clear. Science has got vested interest to convince people. To convince the people who are funding them. Otherwise, how the research will happen? Who will fund the research? Who will fund the development? Let it be very clear. Science is much more superstitious than spirituality. There are infinitely many perfect numbers. So, and I will try to give you that Shankara's commentary, and if I find time even tomorrow, let us finish the subject, let us finish the meditations. If I find time, I will repeat the commentary and give you the translation. How step by step he takes you to the logic. The infinity is there. Anything taken out of the infinity doesn't disturb the infinity. The whole remains as whole. I feel good when I hear you to talk and could relate to my lifestyle. But once I leave you and go home, my life will ask me, what did Swamiji spoke about? My wife will ask me, what did Swamiji spoke about? I can't remember anything. Is this mean I am not ready for your teachings? Be very clear, you are ready for my teachings. If you are not able to remember the words, be very clear, you digested the essence. People who are trying to remember the words, people who are taking notes, be very clear, they are only preparing to repeat, not to digest. You are in a right space, nothing wrong. You don't have to bother to repeat. Just digest and enrich yourself. That's enough. There is no need to remember and give discourse to your wife. Especially, now really, if you say all these things, your wife will never accept. She will never come to me. Let it be very clear. I have this big problem. If the wife comes and gets attached with me, husband will never come to me. Actually, husband secretly they go to my website and see everything. They know that Swamiji is right, no problem about it. But wife can't be right, that is too much. Wife coming and telling me going to that Swami is too much. I can't do that, that is too much. Swamiji may be right, but not you. So if you really want to help your husband, never speak about me to him. Just tell him, let him go and see the website, let him read the books, just give him some books. Never give your interpretation, because he will not be in the mood to listen. Same way, if you are here, your wife is not here, never try to inspire her. Just tell her to see the website or give books. Never try to give your interpretation, and you will make her only move away from me by your interpretations. By your interpretations. Because she knows clearly that you are wrong, and he knows clearly you are, whatever you do is wrong. So do not try to help each other, at least in my case. So I have seen this is a common problem. These are all FAQs actually. Somebody asked me, Swamiji, how to make your wife spiritual? How to make her meditate? How to make her as a spiritual being? I told him, if I know the secret, why do you think I have become Swami? If I know the secret, you think I would have become Swami? Nothing can be done about it. You can't do anything about it. This is honest truth, I am telling you. You can't do anything about it. Unless they decide, nothing can be done. And if at all I know the mantra, I would have made big ashram long before. Swamiji, what is God? What happens during enlightenment? Oh God. Who is the person who put this question? Oh. Whatever I say will be a lie. Let me be very clear. Whatever I say about God will be a lie, because I will be able to give only a partial. It's too big to be discussed. You can't discuss. It is too big word and loaded with meaning. Nothing can be done about it. I can tell only one thing. Be unclutched, you will experience God. Nothing else can be done. When you experience and come out, you will also have the same trouble, and you will tell others that you are not able to explain. Actually, before enlightenment, when I read all these great books, I used to think that these fellows are playing a game. The main product which they are selling, they don't have definition for that. The main product which they are selling is God or enlightenment. None of these fellows are able to give explanation. They are selling something which they can't even define. I thought, what is happening? What kind of business? But after I entered into the business, I also understood. Nothing can be done about it. And you can't. You are in the same problem. I can do one thing. I can put you in the same problem. I can put you in the same space where you will have same problem. Otherwise, you can't explain. And there is a, whatever I say, it will be only half truth. Half truth is much worse than a lie. At least with lie you are clear, you are hearing a lie. With half truth, you do not know which side is truth and which side is lie. And you will be always bothered about the other half. And better let you not have any answer. You will be saved. What happens during enlightenment? Again, it is difficult to explain. Let you be unclutched and experienced by yourself. See, all these questions you ask because you don't have confidence that you can be unclutched. You don't have confidence. You think, no, what he talks is right, but I can't experience all those things. Better let me at least have a few little knowledge and go back to the house. Please be very clear. You can be unclutched. Constantly, your belief that you can't be unclutched is also one more shaft. It's a one more shaft. 10 years ago you tried, you have failed. 9 years ago you tried, you failed. The moment I say 10 years, the Dr. Ma is laughing. 9 years ago you tried, you failed. 8 years ago you tried, you failed. Why are you connecting all your failures and creating a shaft? Do not, that failure which happened 10 years ago, the failure which happened 9 years ago, the failure which happened 8 years ago are independent, individual incidents. Do not connect them. The moment you connect them and create a shaft, you are very clear you will be failure this time also. Why do you decide? Why do you create a shaft and try to leave? Why are you connecting it? Why are you connecting again?